So for me, I just like I run my business, like if I was to create a sales page or an offer or something in my business, I would go out and I would find all the people doing similar things, see which things are working and which things are not, and I would model those things. I wouldn't copy them, but I would model them. I would go, okay, this membership sells because they're offering this component, so I'm going to make sure in my membership that I offer this component. So I do the same thing on YouTube.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. My name is Dusty Porter, the host of the show. We're brought to you today by the fine folks over at our Creators Corner community group. It's a mastermind group that you can have access to for just $5 a month. That's it. You get access to that. I do an exclusive podcast recording just for the members of that group, as well as we do a monthly mastermind call once a month that I host on Zoom, and we talk about a specific YouTube or creator economy topic, as well as doing some deep dives into certain members of the group. And we talk about their channel, what they're doing well, what they could be doing better. And so if any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely check that out down below. And if you'd like to go even deeper than that, I do offer one-on-one YouTube coaching and consulting. All of that is in the show notes of this episode. And then if you're an entrepreneur or online business owner and you'd like to just see what it's like to run a business like I do, I have a newsletter called the Entrepreneur's Minute. I'm not going to spam your email inbox. Once a week on Friday, a little bit of a motivation, talk about tools I'm using, books I'm reading, things I'm experiencing, failures that I've had in my business. So if that's interesting to you, a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. And then lastly, if you would, subscribe to the podcast. You can listen to it. You can watch it on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you consume your podcast. Just subscribe to the show. Absolutely free, and you'll be notified each and every time we go live every Friday with a new episode. All right, so with all that said, let's jump into this week's conversation. Hello and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. I am super excited today to be joined by Molly Kaiser. Molly is an online educator who grew her YouTube channel from 10 to 70,000 subscribers on YouTube in the last year. Molly is generating, get this, $40,000 to $50,000 per month. That's just mind-boggling, with 85% profit margins while only working 20 hours per week. Sign me up for that. From her digital products, and has helped her students worldwide build profitable, freedom-driven creator businesses as well. So she's not just doing it herself, she's also teaching other people how to do it. Molly, how are you doing today?
Good. I'm so excited. Like I said, longtime listener of the show, so super excited to be on the other side of it.
Molly told me off air right before we hit record that she's actually been listening to this podcast, I believe, since you were what, like 1,700 subscribers or something like that?
1,700 subscribers, which was just a couple years ago. Yeah, and it's just so inspiring to hear everyone's stories. I love it.
It's a full circle moment. I love hearing people who say they've listened to the show from the beginning, and especially someone like you who's been so successful. All right, so let's jump into it. The YouTube channel, which you can find under Molly's name, is just Molly Kaiser, Keyser, if you want to follow along. You say on your YouTube channel, you say, helping you sell digital products with YouTube. You've been featured Entrepreneur Magazine, Inc., Entrepreneur on Fire, which is another big podcast. So let's just talk about just the origin story of the channel. How did it come to be?
Yeah, so I'll do the speed dating version, but my very first business was a photography studio, and I grew that, and other photographers started asking me how I did it. So I started educating through digital products, and I did that for a number of years, grew that very large. But after 16 years of being in the photo industry, I was ready to do something different. I knew that I just really loved digital products. So when I started this business, though, I was like, okay, for every good business needs lead gen, right? And my last business, I grew it with blogging and Pinterest. But with this business, I tried to do blogging and Pinterest, and it just, at least for my niche, it wasn't giving me the results that it used to give me back in the day. And so I decided to start a YouTube channel, which it took me years of just thinking about doing a YouTube channel, which I think is common. And now I look back and I'm like, it's so silly to be so afraid to be on camera. To be honest, I really haven't gotten very much negative feedback at all. Like, I thought people being on camera, putting yourself out there, you'd get just people being mean online. And I actually find YouTube to be like one of the nicest, most accepting, open-minded social medias out there. So that's how I got into it, was, okay, how am I going to reach people to help them make money with digital products like I have? And so I tested a bunch of different social medias over 6 months. I tested Instagram, TikTok, not Facebook. What are the other big ones? Oh, and blogging and Pinterest, and then YouTube. And YouTube produced an over 10 times better result as far as views and then moving people to become email subscribers and also sales. So after I did that test, I was like, okay, YouTube is clearly the thing that's working now. So I decided to go all in on it.
What was the moment or the turning point when you might have said to yourself, okay, this can be more than just a hobby, or this is actually the real deal. I think I can do something with this serious.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I tried all those different social medias or I guess for me, it's harder question for me because I've never had my business as a hobby. It's just always been day one, like this is my full-time business. I will say that both my parents, one of them still is, and the other one used to be a business owner. And then my grandparents were also business owners. So I will say I do come from a family of business owners, and I got that privilege to grow up seeing, oh, this is possible. So I don't have that story of going really from a hobby to a business, but I grew up seeing my parents have that freedom to not have to go to a 9 to 5. And I just knew that I never wanted that. And so I knew I wanted that business. And then, like I said, I tested all those social medias and I just knew YouTube was the one to go all in on. So pretty much from the day I decided to just, I did that 6 month test and then it worked. So I just, from there, I just was all in on YouTube.
I think that's sometimes easier is just basically not giving yourself much of a safety blanket of just going all in. And I did that when I got laid off from my job over 10 years ago. And I'm so thankful that I did. It forced me to take it serious and to do things and to run it as a business, even before it was officially an actual LLC or any of those things. So I think your route is probably, if you're considering doing YouTube beyond just a hobby, is actually probably the way to do it. Let's transition to just like growth and strategy stuff. Can you remember what your biggest breakthrough video was early on or as you were growing your channel? And why do you think that video worked?
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. I vividly remember. So in the beginning, I just didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have any traction. In the beginning of your channel is the hardest part because once you get a video working, you're like, okay, I can do something similar to that again and expect it'll probably do well. But in the beginning, I quite literally was just trying a bunch of random videos. I remember I made videos like my desk setup, which my channel had no subscribers, so it's like nobody probably cares about my desk setup. My favorite books I read, all these types of things, and none of them worked. And I remember the first video I made that kind of took off. It was 5 digital products that blank. So I don't remember the exact first title, but it was something like 5 digital products you can use to make money online or something like that. And that video did well. And so I ended up making over 25 or 30 different variations of that same title because it did really well. And so I was like, I'm just going to keep doing it. Not the exact same, but I changed it little by little. And I still remember that moment vividly. Oh, I finally found like a type of content that's going to continue to work on my channel.
Yeah, here recently, a lot of folks have been calling that like content buckets, or I'm not sure exactly who originated that, so I don't want to give anyone's particular person credit. I know I've been tinkering around with the tool 1 in 10, which basically tells you 1 of a 10 video in a specific niche and how you can make that applicable to what you're doing and what you're creating content on. Let's talk about packaging. So how do you approach thumbnails and titles, and what have you found to consistently work for you?
Yeah, so for me, I run my business. Like if I was to create a sales page or an offer or something in my business, I would go out and I would find all the people doing similar things, see which things are working and which things are not, and I would model those things. I wouldn't copy them, but I would model them. I would go, okay, this membership sells because they're offering this component, so I'm going to make sure in my membership that I offer this component. So I do the same thing on YouTube. So what I do is I have a list of all of my competitors, and I shouldn't say competitors because really it's, if I teach digital products, I'll have a list of other people who teach that. But I also go broader and I look at just make money online channels in general. So I'll also look at like drop shipping, like just those kinds of things. And I'll really look at, okay, in the last year or so, like which videos did the absolute best. And I will model those videos. Again, not copy, but model. I'll notice things like in all of these videos that are taking off, they are citing how much money they're making in a month. For me, for my niche, that's a particular thing that helps your videos do better. Your niche will be different. You have to look at your niche and study it and see what are similarities in titles or things that, you notice in videos that do well. So I do that to come up with my titles. And as far as like thumbnails, what I do is I have this YouTube script template, which I did actually mention in the links. I can give people a free one if you want to later, or we can put it in the show notes or something. But basically, in my YouTube script template, what I'll do is I'll copy and paste like the beginning of the title and put it into YouTube, and I'll find other similar videos that have done well. And I will grab a number of thumbnails and screenshot them. And then what I'll do is I'll change the text on the thumbnail. And obviously we use like my branding colors and it's a photo of me. So again, we're not like copying it. We're just modeling the idea. And then I give it to my thumbnail designer. So he takes the photo of me, which I just take with my cell phone. And professional photographer of 16 years, I still use a cell phone for my thumbnail photos. But yeah, he'll take the photo of me and then do some kind of a background on it. And then the text that I say I want in the thumbnail, and he'll just design it. And then I have a channel manager that reviews the designs.
You're talking about those people that you're working with now. You're obviously making enough money where you can pay them an amount to where you can hire a high quality person, whether it be a thumbnail editor or a channel manager. At what point along the journey, if you were recommending to people listening to this, would you start outsourcing and delegating when you have some funds? Let's say I'm making $3,000 a month from YouTube ad revenue. Would you recommend hiring someone at a $500 a month retainer to do certain things that maybe you're not that good at? How would you go about doing that?
Yeah. I remember when I first started YouTube, I decided I was going to listen to every single interview with Mr. Beast that existed. Nerd alert. So I listened to every single one. And I remember something stuck out to me. He said that he uses his YouTube AdSense revenue to cover the cost of his team. I don't know, that's probably still not accurate today, but this was an old interview. And so for me, I've never thought of the AdSense revenue for me personally as like profit. I think of it as I want it to cover the cost of my YouTube team, because obviously you might be different, but for me, my business makes money from digital products. So that's a way that I look at it. So when I first started, I remember I edited my first maybe 2 to 5 videos myself, just using the free editor that comes on a MacBook. I don't even remember what it was. iMovie.
iMovie?
Because I don't know anything about editing and I don't like editing. So I did that. And then just a couple videos in, I was like, I hate this. And it takes so much time. If you're someone who loves it, lean into what you like to do, right? But for me personally, like, I just don't enjoy it. So really early on, I hired a video editing agency. And at the time, they were $700 a month. I looked recently, they're like $1,500 a month now. So things have really gone up, which is interesting. But so even though I wasn't making 700 with AdSense at the time, I decided I'm going to use my own money, the business's money, because I was making money from digital products already, to pay for this, just because I knew that it was worth to get my time back for me to be able to spend on other things. And then once the AdSense revenue kept growing, that's when I got rid of the agency and I decided to hire one person, like in-house, they call it. This was a contractor position. So I started with one editor, and then I got a second editor, and then now someone on my team, she manages the channel. So we haven't had to hire any editors in a long time, but she does the hiring, she does the managing. In Asana, which is our project management, she assigns to them like when they need to have the videos edited by, all the details they need. And then she also reviews all the videos, which is life-changing for me, because I don't know about you guys, but I actually don't like watching my videos back. Like, I don't want to listen to myself talk. So I actually made SOPs, which stands for Standard Operating Procedure. It's like a fancy word for a checklist. I made a checklist of the type of editing we want. Like, these are the colors to use. This is the B-roll to use. This is the that. And then I also made another SOP for the channel manager to say, make sure it's a bunch of check boxes. Make sure the spelling is correct. Make sure they use this B-roll. Make sure, this and the other. And now I don't even have to watch my videos back. I maybe watch back one a month, just like quality control. And it's just life-changing. I love it.
Do you mind, you might could share with me maybe a screenshot of what that or one of your SOPs look like? Because I think that the listeners would love to take a look at those
like
checklists.
Right now, like screen share
of what,
here right now?
No, just after the conversation, I can link maybe to a picture of it or something that they could look at. Would that be something that you'd be okay with?
I can absolutely
Okay.
do that. And I also have, like I said, my YouTube script template that I'm happy to give you guys for free as well.
Yeah, we'll put those links in the show notes if you're listening. This is something that I think a lot of listeners would love to take a look at. Let's talk about monetization in business. I think that obviously one of the things that stood out to me when you answered that question just a minute ago was you were looking at kind of 1 of 10 videos and what made people stand out. I think of the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast, John Lee Dumas. One of the things that he did early on as a podcaster was he was sharing what he would call income reports. And it was back when he was not making as much money, but back then it was a ton of money. And now he's making way more than that. But I think what intrigued me about your story is that you're right at 70 to 80,000 subscribers as recording this conversation. You're making 40 to 50,000 from your business, from the YouTube channel, selling digital products. So there's no I'm having to ship and package and this and that. Like you can automate a lot of it. A lot of it is profit, that the profit margin is crazy good. So let's talk about this. The monetization methods and buckets that you use for your business. Can you just break those down for the listeners and tell me exactly how those came to be? And then I'll dive in deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that might surprise you guys is I'm a firm believer that more digital products does not mean more money. I'm a firm believer of just having one, maybe two main digital products and just continuing to sell those digital products over and over again. And like Dusty mentioned, they're not physical. So I don't have to deal with shipping. I don't have to deal with tariffs. I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. So it is really great. And with most digital products, like you only have to create it one time. You can, of course, update it as needed, and then you can sell it an unlimited amount of times, which is why YouTube is so useful because you can get in front of a large number of people. So my monetization, like buckets or whatever you want to call it, I have my main digital product, which is a membership. It's called Freedom Creator Club. And at the time we're recording this, obviously it might change in the future, but in case you're interested in price, it's $59 a month, $348 a year, $599 for unlimited, which just means you pay once. And yeah, it comes with a whole program and a school community and all that kind of stuff. And then we do have other digital products that are called like upsells, order bumps, things like that, but they're all part of the same checkout page for the same product. Yeah, you'd be surprised to know, and I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure it's about 90% of my revenue comes just from that. Like it's by far the majority of the revenue. And then I make money from AdSense. In January, we did like over 6,000. February, March, we did like 4,700, somewhere around that. I never thought as a new YouTuber, I didn't even pay attention to AdSense because I was just like, maybe I'll make $100. I thought it was going to be more like the TikTok creator program or like the Instagram creator program where they pay you like a penny. And so when I hit 6,000 in a month from AdSense, I was like, I just had no idea that you were able to make that kind of money with that. So yeah, the digital product membership, the AdSense, and then we just started getting good at brand deals. In the last 3 months, we only made $1,200 from brand deals, but I actually changed over and I hired someone who's like a salesperson to find us brand deals. And next month in May, we have just under $10,000 in bills. So I'm so proud of that because we've worked really hard to get that going. And then we have affiliate income as well. So in my YouTube description, I promote just 3 products that I use and love. I never promote like affiliate links of things that I don't actually use. So I personally use this software called system.io to run my entire business, like checkout pages, sales pages, email marketing, all that stuff. And then I have used 1 of 10, which I love. And now I actually started using Spotter Studio. I'm obsessed with it. It does the same thing of they're both really good. And then the other one is School because I use that for my membership. But yeah, so just to dial it all in here, we got the membership digital product, the AdSense, the brand deals, and the affiliates. And if you'll notice, most of them, like the digital product, I have to update from time to time to make sure that it's relevant, but everything else is pretty passive. I use that word. Obviously, passive doesn't mean no work. You have to do work up front and then you can get recurring money, but it's all pretty much running on its own for the most part.
Yeah, the more I get older, and I used to listen and still do listen occasionally to the Smart Passive Income podcast from Pat Flynn, the more I
That's a good
realize
one.
that there really isn't much that's passive income. Yes, for a season, you may have passive income from work that you put in or the seeds that you've planted. But as far as passive income, people have this imagination that they're just going to do this thing and it's automatically going to spit money at them for the remainder of their lives. That's just not a reality. Now, there might be the outlier, but for 99% of people, there is work involved and you have to actually have some sweat equity into what you're doing. You mentioned your membership and your school group. I have a premium group. Mine's obviously not near as lucrative as yours, as I don't charge very much for an entry fee. It was a mistake that I made early on, but I'm thankful for
You
it.
can always raise it. You can always raise it.
I'm actually thankful for the mistake that I made because it's allowed me to really learn about it, and I can share with my audience kind of my learnings from it. But with that being the case, what are you providing? Like, what have you found to be, how can you charge $60 a month for something? What value are you providing, and what advice can you give my audience who are wanting to start a membership group?
Yeah, absolutely. So first I'm going to share what I'll include, but then I want to talk to you guys about how you don't have to do it the same way that I do it. It's your business and you can be really creative with your membership. I think that's the great part of membership. So for me, the thing that's worth the most in my membership, in my opinion, is the program. So it's called Freedom Creator Club, and we help you create consistent income by growing on YouTube and then selling your own digital product. And so I have a full YouTube program. I show you how to do everything every step of the way. So like how to grow on YouTube, how to move your YouTube viewers to email subscribers, how to grow and manage your send emails, how to create your digital product, sell your digital product, and then use your email subscribers and say, hey, go check out my digital product here to make sales. So we teach every single thing step by step. So that's the biggest piece of it. The next piece is the community is actually really good. We have 90% engagement and we have over 500 members. So it's a crazy engaged community, and I've definitely put in, like myself and my team have put in a lot of work to make sure that it is that way. Communities, in my opinion, they don't just happen like that. Like you have to actually work towards getting it like that. So the community would be the next one. My team and I do weekly Q&A calls. So people can submit questions. They can say, look at my channel, look at my digital product, look at my sales page. We also include like a number of bonuses. So how to sell through automated webinars, things like that. If you want to see like the whole breakdown, it's freedomcreator.co/club. And you can see like everything that's listed if you want to. Now, I just want to say a couple things about memberships, because a lot of creators, they will approach me and say, I want to make money from digital products, but a membership sounds like a lot of work. So the first thing I want to say is you don't have to sell a membership. You can sell what I personally believe is the best thing to sell first if you've never made money with digital products is to sell a workshop. So a workshop is typically like 30 to 60 minutes teaching on one singular topic, and you can either pre-record it and just sell it that way, or you can pre-sell tickets to it and then host it live. Personally, that's the best way to do it, in my opinion, because you get to pre-sell it. So that way, if you put this out there and nobody buys it, then you can keep tweaking the offer until it sells, versus like some people, they'll spend 6 months making a course and they'll go to sell it and it doesn't sell. And I'm like, you should have pre-sold it. So that's what I would recommend. Start with a workshop. But if you want a membership, just know that you don't have to do Q&A calls. You don't have to have a program. I've seen people do memberships where, for example, I don't know if did you have Liz Wilcox on here? Anyway, she's a membership.
I did, yes.
You did? Okay, I heard that episode. That was a good one. She has a membership where it's just, I don't remember the exact price, but a low price per month. And she just delivers email templates every single month. And I think hers does have a community, but some that do that, they don't have communities. They'll just deliver something to you every single month. So you really get to create it how you want to. The biggest thing is figuring out what is the problem your ideal clients and audience have, and how can you solve that problem for them, and what type of digital product is going to be the best to solve that digital product for them, or solve the problem for them.
Yeah, it's an ever-evolving world. We're living in crazy times with AI, and I want to get your opinion on that in a minute. But I want to first ask you about your consistency and your cadence and what you've learned over time. How frequently are you posting? How has it changed and evolved over time? And what would you recommend?
Yeah, so I actually post 2 times per week. I started posting once a week because I feel like that's the advice that just everyone post at least once a week. And I don't think that's bad advice. I think that's perfectly good advice. But I did notice that when I started posting twice a week instead of once a week, I don't know if it's coincidence or I don't think so, but my channel, I thought it would double in views, but it didn't. It like triple or quadruple in views. Now, maybe I just got better at making videos over time because I was making more videos, that's actually why I decided to do 2 per week. Again, I heard an interview with Mr. Beast and he was like, your first 100 videos are going to suck. So you want to just do those as fast as possible. And so I took that in my head and thought, what if instead of doing 52 videos a year, I did double that and then I would get twice as good in half the amount of time or whatever. And yeah, when I started doing 2 per week, I really noticed my channel start to take off. I think it was probably a combination of more practice and then just YouTube wants to sell ads. So when you're putting out more good videos, they're going to reward you for that because then they can run ads on your videos.
I think it's a combination of both, right? I think that you're exactly right. I think that you're learning and getting better over time with all that you're uploading 50% more if you're going from 1 to 2. And so now not only are you getting better, but it's giving YouTube more opportunities to present those videos. And you talk about Spotter Studio and 1 in 10. Think about it. If you're uploading once a week, that's minimum or maximum 52 videos per year. But if you're doing 2, it's 104, which gives you a 1 in 104 chance of one of those videos being what I call the bangers or the killer videos, the diamonds, the ones that really stand out. And so I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah. So I think that if you're a beginner, I think it depends on how much time you have because I do have a number of students that have 9 to 5s. And so if you can't put out 2 videos a week, like just do what you can with what you have. So if you're truly so busy, you can only put out 1 video per month, then just do what you can. But I do think it's important to do as many videos as you possibly can, especially in the beginning, because it is practice makes perfect. Not only does it make perfect for you to get better at speaking, but improve your editing, improve the operations of how you're doing things. So yeah, as far as what I would recommend, it depends case by case, but I would do as many as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not agree more. But you don't want to compromise. Like you said, the first 100 are going to suck for anyone just because we're learning through that process. But knowing that instead of doing 1, you're doing like 7 a week, you probably want to, there's probably a good middle ground there where you don't compromise so much quality over the quantity. So find that sweet spot for you and your niche. Find out what others are doing that are peers in kind of the same space as you, and then just try to mimic that model. What's been the hardest part for you as a creator that maybe a lot of people don't see? What's the hardest part for you?
One thing I will come back to this. Sorry. One thing I forgot to share is I batch my videos. That's how I'm able to do 2 per week. So I just film 2 days per month, all 8 videos. That's what I was trying to remember to include. But the hardest part I would say is I try to make my business as much reliant on just repetitive processes and not like being emotionally excited to do something, because if you're not in the mood to do something, then that's probably it's like going to the gym. Like you want actual discipline and not just motivation. But with YouTube, I will say my hardest thing is sometimes I'm not in the mood to record videos. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do my hair and makeup. Like I just want to work in my PJs all day. But since I only record 2 days per month, it's okay. And if I have a day like that, or like a couple times I had a cold and so I was like, oh, this is going to sound bad. So I just moved the recording days. It's not like horrible, but you are the business on your YouTube channel. So I would say the hardest thing is just like, you're not a robot, you're a human. And sometimes maybe you're not in the mood to record. So yeah.
I guess that's a great transition to this next question that I was going to ask you. How do you stay motivated when growth stalls? So you may have one day where you sell a ton of digital products and you have a bunch of new members come in, or the AdSense revenue goes through the roof. But then the next day, I've had this happen to me. I think it was last winter, January through February or through March of 2024. The coaching calls that I was scheduling was going down dramatically. There were some things like metrics wise, like on the podcast going down. But then after that dip, it came back up and it averaged out to be way better than before. So how do you handle that as far as motivation and not stalling out?
This actually just happened to me recently. And I feel like it's something you don't really grow out of, so to speak, because we're human. And if you see a bad sales day, or for example, we can even relate this to YouTube. If you have a 10 of 10 video, it's like the world is ending. But just so beginning of April, I remember during that first like crash in the US stock market or whatever, I had a couple bad sales days and I was like, oh no, like it must be because of that. Like it's so easy to blame, like the weather was bad. People are busy in summer. Like it's so easy to just come up with those things. But what really ended up happening, so instead, I should say, instead of getting emotional about it, like, why are our sales down? I was like, okay, why are they down? And so I went and looked into all of our data and things. And what I noticed was we put out 8 videos per month, but because some months are longer than others, sometimes there's a week that doesn't have videos. And so sure enough, that's exactly what it was. It had nothing to do with external forces or the weather or the time of year or anything like that. It had to do with I didn't put out any videos that week. Therefore, I did not have additional lead generation. And so therefore my sales were less than usual. And what's crazy is I figured that out. So I logicked myself to being like, oh, okay, that's all it is. And then we started releasing our videos for the month. And now we're having our biggest month we've ever had. So I think I just try to look at things from more of a data perspective and less from an emotional, reactive perspective.
There's a book by Seth Godin. It's called The Dip, I believe is the name of the book. And basically he talks about exactly that, where most people, whether they're creators or entrepreneur, whatever, consider yourself, when they go through that dip, oftentimes is when they quit or they step away. And oftentimes it's when they do that, right when they quit, right after that, if they would have just stuck with it, is when they would have seen the resurgence and even higher than ever before, like what you're saying at the mountaintop. So I think that if creators listening to this can get a little bit encouraged of saying, hey, listen, you may be going through that right now, the dip or whatever you want to call it, but understand that sometimes we overanalyze, whether it be metrics and data and numbers. But if we would just stick to the game plan, understand that with this podcast, I've recorded almost 450 interviews now, and there's been some months better than others, but I've always stuck to the plan of releasing a new episode every Friday. And I'm so thankful that I haven't given up, because it's been one of the greatest things that I've ever done for my business, my personal life, my circle of influence. Just understanding that stick to your game plan and just understand that the sky's not always falling. And as creators, we can often think that it always is. So,
Do you mind if I share one more thing on that?
absolutely, no.
So I just posted in my school community last night that so April 21st, which is the day before we're recording this, of 2023, I did 90 some dollars in sales. And then the same day, 2024, I did 300 and something in sales. And then yesterday, I did almost $5,000 in sales. And I posted that to my students, showing them like it's all about momentum. And I said it's like pushing a car in neutral. The hardest part is getting it started, and then it takes on a life of its own. And I truly feel that is like not only accurate for business, but also YouTube. Because now that I'm at 70 whatever thousand subscribers, it feels genuinely so much easier. Putting out 8 videos a month feels as easy as maybe putting out 1 video did before. So I promise you guys, it will only get easier the more reps you put in and the more processes you put in place. And also as you grow your confidence, it just gets so much easier.
I've never heard that exact analogy, but it's exact. I use like a snowball rolling down a hill and it gets bigger and bigger. You're right. Once you start something, the momentum kind of carries you. It's kind of like the old adage of just start that thing. I was talking to a family member this weekend about sometimes we get so in our head about starting the thing, whether it be a course or a YouTube channel or a new bit of programming or whatever, and we never do it. We just talk about doing it. We're like, yeah, I'm going to start that podcast, or yeah, I'm going to do this. But anxiety gets a hold of us and we never do it. But once you start, oftentimes the momentum will carry you. And it's really fascinating. I'm so glad you brought that up. I can't leave this conversation without mentioning AI. You did a video about 12 days ago where you talked about easiest digital side hustle to start with DeepSeek AI, $33 a week. You have other videos where you talk about utilizing AI. So I guess the question I want to ask you is, what tools are you tinkering around with currently that you could recommend to us that kind of stand out to you as far as artificial intelligence?
Yeah, I will say I feel like you guys might be disappointed because I don't really use anything other than like ChatGPT. And then for the video, I used DeepSeek because I wanted to try it out. I do feel like they're both really good. I feel like I just started using ChatGPT first. And so I just really like it. And I pay the $20 a month. I find it so worth it. But how I've been using ChatGPT, I feel like I don't know how I ever didn't use it. I have it open constantly. I use it for everything. So one way that I've used it previously in my videos is what I'll do is, let's say I want to make a video that's 5 digital products that blank, and I've already made a bunch of videos very similar. What I'll do is, you can do this for free on YouTube, is I'll go into the description, I'll click see more, and then it shows you the transcript. And what I'll do is I'll take the transcript from 2 to 5 of my own videos.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I'll do is I will put them into ChatGPT. So you can put them into Word documents and then upload them into ChatGPT. And I'll say, okay, I am creating a video called this. And then since I loaded in those old transcripts, it will just write the entire script for me, like in my own perfect voice. And it saves me a stupid amount of time. Now, obviously I use this as drafts. I'm not going to use it exactly, but that's one way that I use it. I've been using it a lot for digital products. One thing that I did just last night was I was working on a script for updating one of my lessons in my membership. And it was basically so I put the script in, or excuse me, ChatGPT helped me write the script. Basically, I bullet out everything I want to say, and then I put it into ChatGPT, and I swear it writes it better than I could have written it. Like, it's genuinely, it organizes it so well. And then at the bottom, it said, do you want me to create a decision tree to go with this? And I was like, yeah, I do want you to create a decision tree. And I asked it to design it as a graphic, and it designed me a perfect graphic decision tree of saying, if you're a beginner in digital products, then you should do a workshop. If you're more advanced, then you should do a membership or whatever. It was a decision tree. And yeah, I use ChatGPT for everything. I use it for like meal planning, road trips, everything. One of my friends says she uses it as a therapist. It is just,
Yeah.
it's crazy. If you're not, I'm sure all of you guys listening are probably using it, but you definitely should if you haven't tried it out.
It's funny, more often than not now, it's doing exactly what you just said, whether it's ChatGPT or another tool that I'm using. It's going above and beyond, and it's asking me, oh, do you want me to, just the other day, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, hey, do you want me to format a table and put all the data in this and this and then export it for you? I'm like, I didn't know you could do that, but sure, this sounds fantastic. The scary part is I think we're probably 5 to 10 years away from stuff like that. That's awesome. I appreciate you being honest and transparent with us. This has been an awesome conversation. You're killing it. I cannot express how excited I am for you and your team and what you're doing with your business. But let's go ahead and go into the lightning round. This is just more fun, fast, and personal. So if you would, just give me more shorter answers here. Last video that you watched on YouTube.
Oh my gosh, sorry. I watch it every morning. Probably a Latasha James vlog. I really like her vlogs.
Nice. What's your first job that you ever had?
Sally's Super Soft Serve ice cream.
Oh, nice. Go-to snack while working on your YouTube stuff.
I actually make a strict rule to not eat while I'm working, but my favorite snack is grapes.
I love grapes too. Apple or Android?
Apple, I will fight you. I love Apple.
Do you have any hidden talents?
Ooh, I am a amateur potter in my spare time. So I do a lot of, I often will leave work very early and just go play in the pottery studio with no cell phone. We don't play any music, no TV. It's super relaxing.
So cool. Funniest comment you've ever received on a video?
It's probably mean, but I find it funny. But people will often comment like, if you're so rich, then why don't you have a better background? And it's funny because
classic.
I spent $400 on this painting from Spain, and this is a mid-century modern wardrobe. And so I actually spent a lot of money on these pieces, and I think it looks really good, but clearly I'm getting a lot of burns in the comments.
And last one, if you weren't doing YouTube selling digital products, what would you be doing?
Ooh, someday maybe I might become an investor in other companies.
Awesome. Awesome. Again, you've been listening to the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. We've been joined today by Molly Kaiser. I think I pronounced it right. I think I did.
You did.
Molly is an amazing creator. So thankful for all of the nuggets that you dropped with us today. Everything that we mentioned in the episode throughout the conversation, I will do my best to make sure we link to everything, tools, resources, freebies that Molly talked about. And Molly, we appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next time. That's it for this week's episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen or watch the show. I would really appreciate it. It's absolutely free. Also, if you would, go check out our Creators Corner group, $5 a month, less than a Starbucks coffee. You get access to one of the best mastermind groups for creators on the internet. If you want to go a little deeper, I do offer YouTube coaching and consulting. I can do channel audits. All of those things will be linked down below. And if you're an entrepreneur, check out our email newsletter, The Entrepreneur's Minute. It's a behind-the-scenes look of what what we do here running Porter Media, and I really think it's intriguing, and we have over 5,000 people now on that list, and it's growing every day. So definitely check that out if you haven't already, and we'll talk to you guys in the next episode.